So you see the big piles of wood chips here. We have an arborist in town that dumps these for us, and we don't charge him to dump, and he doesn't charge us for the chips. So it's kind of a mutually beneficial arrangement. Now you might ask why we would do that. Well, what do we use these chips for? We use them a little bit for bedding for our trees, mostly the ornamentals, but we also put them around the fruit trees. It helps retain moisture. And we also compost these down. And of course we do compost all the manure and of the chips / shavings from the chicken coops. And that composts down relatively quickly. It takes about 3 years. These wood chips like this will take about 5 to 7 years. They do take a little longer. But at the end of the day, it's basically free soil. After it's all composted down, it's, got a lot of nutrients in it. You can put it right in the garden once it's composted and make up for soil loss that does tend to happen, particularly for us because we're right near a waterway. So we do get some erosion, which unfortunately we can't really prevent. So for me, spending a few minutes here and there to take the chips that he's dumped and throw them in a big pile and they're out of the way and just let them sit there and do their thing is no big deal. I think a lot of farms kind of do something similar. And that's how that works. So the chicken manure itself, you really need to break that down for at least a couple of years. We break it down typically for 3 or 4, because otherwise the nitrogen is way too hot, as we say. It's high, and it can have the opposite effect of what you'd want. Now the wood chips don't immediately affect your garden adversely at all. You could put these right in to kind of bed your plants in. The problem is the following year, as they start to break down, they will tank your nitrogen. And that can be a problem, and you will see a massive reduction in growth. So you really have to be careful about making sure you've composted things for enough time to allow, those chemicals to kind of stabilize, or you're going to find yourself in more trouble than it's worth. So another thing about the wood chips is in terms of bedding for the chickens. And that's something we don't really do with these. They're pretty green when we get them usually, unless they're from a really dead tree. So they're not very absorbent. And as you can see, there's a lot of big pieces that kind of end up in there through the chipper, and which is fine. So most of the time, if I'm using these at all with the birds, I'm using these in the runs, and it gives them something fun to kind of scratch and peck through. But for the inside of the coops, we usually use wood shavings. We only use the wood chips like this if we're out of shavings and just can't get to the feed store to get more. see me turning over one of the older manure piles. This pile is 2 years old. And I usually do this once in a while when I'm out here and I'm pushing up chips, or if I'm dumping coop content. So I just take a second to go over and give it a quick flip and kind of roll it on over, and that's pretty much how we do that. And to the left of this is a pile that's 3 years old. You can't really see through the bushes there. And then there's a pile to the left of that that's 1 year old, or less than 1 year old, so it's a lot newer. Some of these chips are hickory, and man, they're smelling really, really good. Makes me want to run out and have a barbecue. But up here, in front of my loader right now, you see that's a big firewood pile. And behind me is a softwood pile. This is all hardwood here. So we do burn wood. We actually have 2 wood stoves. We have a big Russo that heats most of the house, and a smaller stove that just heats a couple of rooms, including the ham room and the back living room. And we cut and split it, and these are all, or most of this is wood that was dropped off by the tree guy, and they're cut-offs. They could be, cut-offs from the stump, or limbs, or wood that's not really good for firewood for really anybody else to sell, but it's free, so we certainly take it. And I don't think I've bought a stick of wood in 10 years, which is a pretty good deal for me too. So I keep about 16 cords to 20 cords on hand usually, and like I said, it's a pretty good arrangement. That'll do it for this video. I'll let this run for a few more minutes after I shut up, and I'll say thanks for watching. Please comment, like, and subscribe.